Hello, friends. It's Chapo. This is not the JFK hiding his medical records. We need those records. So you've got like editorial boards around the country. John Federman must debate.
A bunch of nerds demanding tomorrow's homework today.
But what the Republican, when they're spending money on, is actually Federman. If you're a lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania, you're on the parole board.
Oh, right. He let out the murderer.
And which was like the hot thing to do even for Republicans until 2020 was, including Donald Trump, was I will listen to their case and no one else will listen to this person, but there's somebody who is, he made a mistake 40 years ago, let him out of prison. He was doing that. So all their paid advertising is basically just like hitting the Willie Horton button.
Yes.
Again and again. Like, here's a guy. Look what he did. Crimes. And then
crimes.
And John Federman, who blends in pretty good in an ad about scary people. Not in a negative way. Federman, the first person to admit this. The fact that he looks like
tough,
he could kill you.
Is part of his appeal.
That's why he doesn't scan as a phony Democrat to people. But they're able to hear him say a thing like, let's legalize marijuana, and be like, oh, we might legalize marijuana. Not
like in a tough way.
Which is all you hear when some fucking Connor Lamb-ass stuffed shirt shows up to shovel some more horse shit in your face.
Yeah, and that's been their thing, is like, this guy is going to let all the crooks out and they'll all kill you, which is kind of a more usable in you can use that anywhere. It's what they're doing in Wisconsin, they're doing it in Florida, doing it everywhere. If crime happened because a Democrat did it.
Yes.
Gotta say, the most grotesque part of that campaign for me from Oz has been that he's condemned the campaign for hiring these two guys who spent I think 20 years in jail.
Yeah.
And for a murder that they did not commit. Like they
provenly did not.
Like
yes.
they worked before they didn't do it. I mean, it was never even alleged that they did it. They literally drove a car for a guy who was later convicted of a murder. And they spent 20 fucking years in prison, and they get out and they get hired by Federman, and fucking Oz is like, a demand to fire these criminals. Like, god damn, that's like.
Can I do one more?
These people really are scumbags. I mean, you forget about it. They're clowns, but they're also just real pieces of shit.
Can I give one real quick negative Oz piece that I found that was pretty stomach churning to me? Do you know about the dogs, the puppies, Dave?
Oh, no, well,
God,
with a lead like that,
move.
please tell me, but I don't know about this. That was a good one
for him.
Apparently,
when I say Federman is that Oz is just a weirdo.
Apparently when Oz was cutting his teeth in the Columbia University Health Research Department, he trigger warning animal violence, not personally, but led and conducted a study that involved, according to one complainant, a litter full of conscious puppies being placed in a plastic bag and killed with an intercardiac. According to the complaint, the puppies cried out as they received the IC injection because it is, of course, very painful and should not be done without first anesthetizing the animals. I should put clean. Trigger warning. Animal violence.
It's too late.
I thought Democrats respected science.
Yes,
and yet here they are.
Bleep it or something.
Yes, but apparently Oz was in charge of that study. Real creep. This Oz guy.
That's the thing, is that Trump, he won because Trump endorsed him, which was not what the mainstream of the Republican Party in Pennsylvania wanted. They wanted McClintock, whatever the fuck his name was.
McCormick.
Close, and then the base wanted that crazy lady, whatever her name is.
Kathy Barnett.
Yeah, and he came in and took the one segment of people who just like Trump because he's Trump and had no real deeper commitment to that, and said, I like this guy, and that was enough to split the win that thing. But he did that because he recognized in Oz him and that this is a celebrity trying to run for office, and then he just thought well, I'm a celebrity running for office. And I did well, so therefore it works.
They are the most demographically similar people on the ticket in a while.
But Trump is this guy who is singularly charismatic in a specific way, whereas Oz is kind of a weirdo. He's kind of a creepy guy. The fact that he was ever a TV guy kind of blows my mind. It's he has this unctuous quality that I think is reassuring on medical questions, but that reads as kind of creepy and insincere, as opposed to Trump, who is just this. So fake he has to be real.
Yes.
Whereas Oz is hiding something.
And just not being from Pennsylvania. Sometimes people don't
that
care
doesn't
that much,
help.
Yeah.
But not being from there, having spent crucial years there, where it's one of those answers, sometimes he'll give enough time for a 2-minute explanation of why he came back to the state. But everybody knows he came back because there's a Senate seat. There's Senate seat lots of places. He came back for that. And he's not like Robert Kennedy. People are not giving him a pass on it. So that's been so much of the campaign, and they're trying to turn it back to I might not be from here, but I wouldn't let a innocent person out of jail.
Also, I can say the alphabet. I don't slur when I speak.
That's right. I can draw a clock.
I don't smell toast all the time.
Yeah, doctor.
Real quick before we get to the end, just thinking about the celeb thing. You know who the Dems should recruit for a major position? Jeff Probst.
The Survivor host?
Yes, I feel like he would give this reassuring calm of a guy who's been on TV for 20 years but could actually deliver
He
lines.
has been in people's living rooms every day.
Yeah, so
Telling them about who's been kicked off the island.
hire me as a consultant for that. All right. Does Federman win, gentlemen?
Yeah, I think it's going to be closer than it should be because of the stroke, but Oz has a big deep hole. And I just want to say this. Could you imagine going back in time and telling yourself or anybody else around you, say to go back to 2003, 2004, and say, in 2022, there's going to be a fucking Sunni Muslim running for Senate in Pennsylvania, and it is not going to be an issue for either side. No one is going to bring it up really at all. It's kind of astounding. It's like, think of just, I mean, if you're old like me, you remember how much the war on terror, psychopolitics dominated everything.
Why won't Dr. Oz say radical Islamic terrorism?
And like,
oh God, wow,
I remember that. Oh God, you give me a flat fact. Fuck,
radical
falling
Islamic
down Jacob's
terrorism.
ladder right now.
That phrase, real
Radical
high
Islamic
key
terror.
fell off.
Oh God, yeah, like
I mean,
that
for
was
the best, but
that was the top
goddamn
note on like the xylophone of the human like nervous system that they were playing.
Yeah.
During the PSYOP game of like,
I feel like
literally a fucking a color coded warning system to just like play it like a harp.
God, I
that
remember
was
in,
the
like,
there's only two
2015
genders of like the Linkin Park era.
Yeah.
I feel like in 2015 I had to do a supercut at Slate where I just like cut Ted Cruz saying the words radical Islamic terrorism 400 times to prove some kind of.
Because Obama wouldn't say it. Why wouldn't he say it?
We lost the war.
Yeah.
We lost that war, and so we had to pretend it never happened and find a new enemy at home. And so none of that matters anymore.
Not that never happened, but it was Hillary did it.
Right.
And
Well,
no Republican had any
it's like it's no longer a obtaining like psychic structure. Like those aren't the enemies anymore.
Yeah.
Because we lost them.
I also think Federman will win, but it's going to be a nail biter.
That is the one where I feel because there will be a debate October 25th.
Ooh,
and that's the one
set
where
your cringe-o-meter for that one.
He's never been that good. I mean, I've covered him for years. He's never been like a great orator. It's just that why is this normal guy doing this?
Exactly.
It's been the
he seems
thing.
normal, so he doesn't have the bullshit. You don't think he's lying. You don't assume he's lying.
I think even if he is fairly impaired during that, I feel like if that is his appeal, that will cut through compared to the Oz, who's just bullshit.
Well, that's the thing.
Pure
Is that
bullshit.
And
which one of those is gonna hit your limbic system? Like what's gonna twinge you off is like this big hunk of man, maybe struggling with words, heroically struggling, you might say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Versus this Hollywood phony, like with the spindly little fingers over in the other corner, embodying that simpering daytime television kayfabe. That guys like Trump, by the way, exist by demolishing.
Yes.
I think he still pulls it out.
Yeah, I think and they've lowered the standard so much. It's just like the first Trump-Biden debate where they're like, we're not even sure if his brain can be like put back together for 90 minutes for him to do it. Like, will he show up? Will he come up with a reason not to come? Will he hide in the basement? Like, they just kept owning him, and they showed up and he's like, he yelled a couple times.
Yeah.
People were like, well, I guess he's ready to be president. So that could happen too.
So we say lean Federman.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Ohio. It's round on the sides and high in the middle. Tim Ryan versus J.D. Vance. Latest polling has J.D. Vance up by a hair, depending how you cut it. Some polls, Cincinnati Enquirer, my hometown paper, has Ryan up by 1. So it's close, but leaning Vance in the polls right now. The only real big news hit I have on Vance is, he again is folded into the McConnell-Thiel fight.
Well, specifically because he can't raise money. He weirdly cannot raise money.
Here, I've got one on this from Washington Post recently. From the Post, after a recent call during which GOP donors discussed midterm spending, one participant and another person familiar with the conversation were said to have felt that Vance had run, quote, a lazy campaign with shifting views akin to a, quote, chameleon. One major donor on the call indicated an unwillingness to give any money to the Vance campaign, according to a person familiar with the donor's response. People describing the reaction spoke on the condition of, well, that's just the anonymity part. But you get the point. He can't raise money. Nobody wants to give him money. And he's still limping along barely ahead. Dave, your insights.
Well, I think Vance's problem with raising money is when he became a celebrity, he was a celebrity to people who now hate him. Mm-hmm. So he would get, and this has happened on Twitter because he tweets a lot, and you'll see like this assistant dean of like Muhlenberg College or some place that he went and gave a talk just crapping all over him and think he's a phony. So he met a bunch of liberals and Republican never-Trumpers who just hate him now because he went the other way. And he has not been, I don't know what he does day to day, but he has been, these guys are posters. I'm a poster. Everyone here is a poster. We respect that. But like posting is not fun rate. Posting is not call time. And he has gotten, I mean, I saw him the other day responding to like Jennifer Lawrence talking about him. Who gives a crap? Like, who really gives? But he gets into this because he's been a poster before he was in politics. He's ridden it very far. I honestly, and I do think he will win just because the state is now so conservative. But people were, and even Democrats were in denial because Tim Ryan was. The thing about Tim Ryan too, some people get stuck with he's not very smart rep like Kevin McCarthy.
Sure.
Ryan has had that rep for a while. He was like he didn't run for office once because he had DUI. There was an amazing moment in 2019 where he just gave an on-the-record quote to, I think, Bloomberg about how Biden was losing it and he wasn't mentally fit to be president, and then just had to pretend he didn't say it. He didn't mean
that was
it.
some other guy.
Yeah, but like he gave it on the record. It's like, wait, that was on the record, wasn't it?
Look, I was running for president, okay? You say whatever you have to.
He did that thing, but he was on.
Oh my
Yes, he ran for president.
He has gone through Federmanization, where he has reintroduced himself as a state college guy, and Vance went to Ohio, but he makes fun of him for having like gone to the Ivy League and having spent time living in San Francisco. He's just like
This
really
is, very reminiscent of the log cabin and hard cider campaign.
Oh, he's done everything but like chewing on a piece of
1941.
straw and like picking his teeth with it. Like he really has done that, and he also has a voting record because he was like pro-life until I think he ran for president. He has this voting record of just like the last he has Jim Trafficant's old seat, the legend, but he was a Eastern Ohio like pro-life, pro-labor, screw every trade deal.
So now he's
Democrat.
running against Brandon, which I don't. It's like that's a hell of a fucking needle to try to thread. To be like, vote me into the Senate, and I hate my president that is of the same party,
except on trade. He's like,
it's like once again, like, oh, you can't really draw real contracts. You can say trade, but that's all bullshit, and everyone knows it. Like, you can't get to anywhere because you don't fundamentally disagree. It's all on that cultural train, and so you end up having where to fight Vance on the cultural war issues, which are becoming salient in this midterm. So I would say that this reminds me of the election of Josh Hawley, which was a case where this Ivy League educated Fauntleroy, he came from a higher class than Vance. Vance is up jumped, but they both got a nice nice Ivy League education, and then just wanted to work as little as possible and be senators. Hawley also had a reputation for being very lazy with fundraising. But one election because they're in a state that is demographically just beyond the pale for this type of democratic politics. It's like Tim Bryan is just Claire McCaskill, this relic of a party that can no longer play at the statewide level with these demographics.
He's doing better than her because he's just done a much better job of the issues he's focused on. She fell into the whole people will think I'm moderate if I talk about the deficit trap. He's not doing that. He's like, people will think I'm moderate because I threw a football at a sign that says defund the police, which is literally one of his ads.
I will give some on-the-ground reporting on this, which is that I talked to my dad recently about the Ohio State Senator. He still lives in Cincinnati. I would describe my dad's politics as, you remember the legendary Dan K tweet to Grover Norquist, buddy, I'm going to put you in a diaper as long as you don't raise my taxes? That's basically the kind of voter my dad is. Love you, Dad. You'll probably never listen to this, but he's become like pretty disgusted by the Trump politics anyway. So I asked him about Vance versus Ryan, and the most commentary he could issue on it was what I would describe as a disgusted sigh. So that's the kind of normie center conservative response to Ryan versus Vance.
In that context, with those underlying economic conditions and that aging, whitening state, I think you got to give it to Vance, which is like, that means Thiel's going to have a guy in the Senate, and he should show up in a fucking toga with laurels in his hair. He should be holding a fascist, and he should have to start orating. Get orating, motherfucker. Don't read your fucking book written at like a 10th grade reading level for the Oprah Book Club.
Yeah.
Get some fucking oratory going, buddy. I want to hear some Cato level shit from you.
Yeah, he'll be. They're too short of a triumvirate, but I think he's going to get in there.
It's going to suck, but I have to go. He sucked. Disgusting.
Everyone was said it's awesome watching him get washed by Mandel, and if Trump had not interceded, he would have lost to Mandel. But I think at the end of the day, it was Don Jr. Don Jr. is the internetified worm tongue who has been totally like wired into the spectacle of the Trump phenomenon, which is which is younger and college educated and internet savvy.
Yeah.
And they just like pick this loser who a guy like Trump would like look over. He forgot his name. Don't forget J.K. Quance. What's his name?
He also made fun of him for quote unquote kissing my ass.
Yes, exactly. He had no
at
respect
the last
at all.
rally for him.
Yeah,
in the
no respect at all.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's like, what do I do? He doesn't care really.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a gut instinct, and you haven't specifically kissed his ass. He doesn't care. So he had this fucking
also-
little
and he's-
dipshit in his ear saying, "Hey, this guy's based."
But it also makes him right with Teal. Like
Yeah.
Teal stays in the tent, Steele's give him $1 million, which Trump is not. Trump just keeps raising money for a PAC that doesn't help any of these guys.
Just for his own legal bills.
But
Amazing.
the thing with Vance too is that he has like the material, so he doesn't have the Oz problem of like I parachuted in because I thought it'd be easy. He is from Ohio, like,
Yes.
famously, and so occasionally their messaging will be like what a candidate is. Like he grew up having it rough, and then he served in the military, and now he's running for Senate, and that's all you kind of need.
Yeah.
It's like this is a Republican.
You
He
don't
has a
need to
normal
be
story.
based.
Yeah, the posting does not help. Just
The
post.
posting
most
got it.
people
To see what it
don't
is
even know
is
what
that
Twitter
the
is.
thing that gets these guys the nominations is what also hampers them in the generals. Classic, the dialectic, folks.
I remember one time I was fighting this pack of trolls. So, I grabbed one